G'day everyone. Today you're here with Archie and Miles, aka the Shepmates. If you don't know what we do, well, in summary, we essentially rip off or enlighten the commentary side of sport by pretending to be the commentators. And we are lucky enough today to be joined by ex-player, current Fox cricket commentator, Australian cricket legend that is Adam Gilchrist. And we couldn't be more excited. Gilly, welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Pleasure, boys. Absolute pleasure. Big fan of what you do, but I don't quite know what you've created. I don't know how you've created it, but Jesus, it's bloody entertaining and good fun to watch, and thrilled to be a part of it, boys.
Yeah,
Trust me, mate, we don't really know how we created it either. It sort of just happened out of nowhere, but we are the commentary guys, so this interview is going to be tailored towards the commentary side of Adam Gilchrist. I know everyone seems to know the player, but we know the commentator. Got to respect the commentary side of it, isn't that right, Arch?
Absolutely.
So, yeah, that's where the real athletes show their capabilities post-career, I believe, the endurance behind the mic. So we'll see how we go today, and we'll have a good chat.
Well, Gilly, we sort of owe you our career at the moment. Let's take us back to ball one of the Ashes last year. I've actually got a nice little clip here.
To go. Let's get it on, Gilly.
What a call. What a call, Gilly. Can you take us back to that moment, mate? What was it like?
Yeah, caught by surprise a bit, I think. You're sort of all prepped up, ready to go, but you do not expect that to happen first cod, do you?
No, not at all.
Absolutely not.
With those type of calls, is it any part premeditated? You're not one of those guys that pulls out his notes the night before and writes down a couple one-liners to use while he's on the mic, or is it purely spontaneous?
I think you can see through the lack of quality of the call that I wasn't prepared. It's bloody shocked you. I mean, you're pumped up. You do all your preparation, but for something like that to happen, first cherry, and the great man bloody climbing into it, giving his opinion. God love him, but I mean, you hear some amazing broadcasters just suddenly peel off the wisdom out of nowhere. I don't know how they do it. Always learning, always got the eyes wide open.
And at that time, for that first ball, it was just amazing to start the Ashes off like that. I was manning the front at the local timber store, and Archie was in the sales room watching the video on KO. And here you are in the main commentary box commentating the first ball. Who decides who gets the mic for that first cherry? Like, is there a bit of a fight between you and Warne?
You could always guarantee that Warne was going to be somewhere near it. God love him. Mate, he was box office in everything he did, wasn't he? Let's be honest. And he was pretty hard to take your eyes off him or turn your volume down, because generally what he did was going to be entertaining. Who decides? The executive producer just decides. They do the rundown.
Yeah.
They put the schedule out there, and you get it, and you look and you go, oh, well, I'm on that stint or that stint. But first ball of an Ashes series, it's a pretty big thrill to be on air at that time. But that's it. You work out. You learn very quickly where you are in the pecking order when the schedule comes out.
Oh, it's amazing. And for us, after that ball, it sort of seemed to snowball for us. Obviously, we were getting played on the Big Bash and all that, and we ended up on the lunch break with you guys at the SCG. That was a great interview, and Howie was able to send us a video of all of you lads. I think it was
just after the interview, wasn't it?
Just after the interview. It was Warne, yourself, Skull, Howie, Varney, all such big names.
And you were just chilling in the tea room, all just relaxing. I think it was just after the lunch break, just having a yarn, and you were kind enough to send us a message. Yeah. What's it like behind the scenes there? Is it a pretty chill atmosphere when you're off the mic with all those guys?
It is. It's it's been a bit. We walked into the back of the sort of the breakout or fallout room of the back of the commentary box at the Sydney Cricket Ground the other day, and Howie and I walked in there, and that was where, and I don't want to drag this into a somber tone, but it's love talking about Warne and Roy and Rod Marsh as much as we can, because that's the way we're going to get over it. But that was where Warne held court. That was his little forum where he'd get off air having just punched out a massive rant about someone, and we'd all sit there and he'd start telling us about whatever he's up to in the evenings or whatever his parties he's been at, and he just held court. And he was either doing that or he was asleep under a table when the Prime Minister walked in. But
asleep under the table.
It is literally like, you know, and you blokes are across every sport. You're nailing it in everything you do. Any sports person, sportsman, sportswomen, whether you're at the elite level or club level, the change rooms are where the fun happens. That's where the magic happens. And that's just what you remember and talk about. And that's what it's like at the back of the commentary box. It's just like the old change rooms where you sit around and talk absolute rubbish and then chill out and get ready to go again.
Couldn't agree more. We're big footy players, cricket players locally, and the change rooms is where it all happens.
You can imagine Warnie behind the scenes as well. He was the king on the field, the king in the commentary box. We loved his commentary, and to hear, like, even off the mic, you can imagine he'd have stuff going on at night, poker games, like he'd have everything booked up.
How about Kerry O'Keefe, Skull? We all know his antics on the mic. Some of the stuff he dishes up is extraordinary.
Do you grit your teeth? Like, do you grit your teeth sometimes when you're commentating with him? Like, you don't know what he's going to say. Is it a bit edgy? Like, you sort of like, how do I move on from what he just said? It'd be a bit, you'd be on your toes a bit, wouldn't you?
Absolutely. Well, the thing about Skull, everything I've said about Warnie there and about, you know, the change room, Skull, when he's off air, disappears. Like, he vaporises into nothing. Don't know where he is.
He's vaporises.
You cannot find him. And that's because he goes and finds a little spot by himself and he puts an earpiece in to make sure that he can continue to hear every bit of commentary. He watches every ball and he makes notes. He's like a thesaurus or a dictionary or an
the true professional.
Cricket. Mate, he's unbelievable. But when you're on air with him, you hope he pulls out one of those plastics, but you hope you hope it's not going to offend either a co-commentator, a player, or any one of the tens of millions that are watching around the world.
Well, we hope that he does some of his similar antics this season so that we can rip him off this summer.
Because he's a couple generations behind us. He's probably a generation or two behind you, Gilly, so you never know what kind of humour he's going to dish out. It might not be up with the times, and I think normally that's the case with Skull. So that's really interesting to hear.
Now, Gil, we want to talk about your commentary journey. How did you start out in all of this?
I was invited into the extraordinary, famous Channel 9 commentary box as soon as I finished. I was invited to go in there and sign on and be part of the commentary team. And I thought, well, I've never coveted being a commentator. I wasn't sure whether I wanted to do it. I thought I'd better give it a go before I sign on. So I went and did one test with, the legendary, Richie and Tony and Bill and all the doyens of it all. And I went in there and I worked out pretty quick that I was shit. I was no good at it. I had nothing to offer. And they had an amazing, system and formula that we, my generation grew up, found a way for 5 years. And then when the Big Bash went to Channel 10, that was the opportunity that I was approached. I thought, no, I'm no good at commentary. I'm not interested. But when I was told that Ricky Ponti, Mark Warren, Damien Fleming were going to do it, I thought, right, I'm in. They're some of the
good
best
lineup.
mates.
Yeah, that's a solid
what
lineup.
Could be harder than now watching cricket and just doing it with mates.
I think that'd be the key, wouldn't it? Just sitting in a booth and it's just like, you're not watching the game on the couch with them, pretty much.
Yeah.
And for you, being a green commentator early days, was there a few blunders that stand out?
Oh, yeah, and you get some pretty honest feedback from social media these days. So if you miss something or get it wrong, you're reminded pretty quickly.
Got to block it out, Gil.
Look,
Reminded by
what
us.
I did do, and I did announce one of the touring teams that were over here, and I don't want to go into fine detail because I do not want to offend anyone, but I knew, reading some notes, that there was a young player on one of the touring teams that came out here that his father had passed away recently while he was on tour, and with all the COVID stuff, he was unable to get home, and he decided to stay on tour because that's what his dad wanted. So I mentioned that on air, quite trying to be respectful and show what it means to play for his country for this young man.
Of course.
But it was actually, when I announced it, it was the wrong bloke. And I announced that the wrong fella's father had died. I got some quick feedback on that, and I quickly corrected myself. So there's nothing like announcing someone dead on air and then actually resurrecting them and bringing them back to life about 5 minutes later.
So the player was actually wondering whether his dad had died.
He's like, oh no, Dad's died. Gilly's just told me live on air. This is the first time I found out.
Yeah, imagine what his family and the village where he lived thought when they were listening to that. But imagine what the father thought while he was listening to that. But anyway, we got him back to life, and it's all good.
Got a big summer of cricket coming up, Gil. What's your predictions? We've got the Proteas. That'll be massive at the G, at the SCG, the Gabba. What are your thoughts on it?
Look, I reckon the Test series against the West Indies, our blokes should win and win pretty handsomely. They're playing in Perth on a fast, bouncy track, and then a day-nighter in Adelaide. So I reckon our blokes should clean that up pretty well. The South African series is going to be quite interesting. They have got a proper bowling lineup. They got blokes that bowl with a fair bit of heat and a bit of aggression, and of course there's a fair bit of history. These two teams haven't played since the nasty scenes of South Africa 2018, and which culminated in the old sandpaper gate. But the batting might be a bit of a struggle for South Africa, but there'll be plenty of spice in that Test series. And then the Big Bash. The Big Bash is coming back. I reckon it's coming back.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to be. They're going to revive it and put some life into it, so it should be good fun.
Yeah, bigger and better than ever.
That's unreal. Hey, let's just finish off, Gilly. I know you've got a big summer coming up. You've got a team at Fox Cricket there. We just want to play a little game called Most Likely To. We'll list a few, and then out of all the commentators that you're going to be commentating with, you tell us who's most likely to do this thing. Right. So, most likely to drop the F-bomb on air.
Junior, Mark Waugh.
I'm not surprised. There.
Most likely to rock up late to a shift or the innings they're supposed to be commentating.
Yeah, Junior, Mark Waugh.
Junior again.
I feel like this is all going to be Mark Waugh.
Nah, not all.
Most likely to eat someone else's lunch.
Oh, you think about that. Someone else's lunch. Brendan Julian. He's so perfect. He's so pretty. Everything about him is just immaculate. But I reckon
he's a good-looking human.
He could tuck into someone else's dinner and not even not care.
Nibbles Julian. There's a new nickname for him, Nibbles.
Hey, Gilly, thanks so much for joining us. We really appreciate the time. For everyone listening, you can catch Gilly and the team for all your T20 and ODI series coverage on Fox Cricket, available on Foxtel and KO Sports. And Gilly, best of luck in the Combox this coming summer.
Loved it, mate. Thank you.
Hey, lads. Great to chat. As I said, no one knows quite what you've created, but geez, you've done it well, and you've brought a bloody lot of entertainment to so many people. So keep at it. Can't wait to catch up.
Appreciate that, Gilly. Really
Thanks,
appreciate
mate.
that.
Best of luck.
Cheers, boys.
Thanks, mate. See ya.